Hello and welcome, I'm Raziel, and why collect the sultanate? Why collect the sultanate for dystopian wars? Now, one thing I wanted to talk about first is the lore. Now, with the lore of dystopian wars and Wild West Exodus, it's very sparse right now. There's one canonical novel, there's 3 books you can buy as well, which are more setting but not canonical, which are the Outlaw's Wrath and Honor Among, as well as the graphic novel Heavy Rail. Well, these aren't canonical, they are worth reading for the setting. However, the Sultanate is not really mentioned, as that is more dystopian wars, hence the very low lore videos this week to do with them. Now, the thing is, what is not mentioned, and one I think is the most fascinating part about Sultanate, is that they are very much allied with the Order of the Allshard. And this gives them a very Arabian Night feel to their lore. They've kind of made a pact, metaphorically, with the jinn. It shows they're very religious, and they do work with these very mystical beings who they're not quite sure how they will work, but they do, and they have made this alliance with them, which I think is absolutely fascinating. It adds a whole new element to our lore, which isn't really touched on, and I'd love to see more about, because it really does tie in with the mysticism of the Middle East. And we got like the stories of which we grew up with, Aladdin, and you have the Arabian Nights, of course, and to some degree there is the Mummy and the ancient Greeks as well, like stuff like 300, because the Greek isn't part of the Sultanate and part of the area that they control. So, that's one of the biggest reasons I collect the Sultanate, is because of how interesting our lore is, and it's not like the Watchers, which are aliens, and the allshard, the allshard are mentioned, interdimensional beings, but it is so far more detached from, say, the Union, or even the Enlightened, which are very much based on science and knowledge, rather than mysticism and religion. So, that would be my biggest reason I'd love to collect the Sultanate, is because that lore behind them is so fascinating. So there you go, and I think it's great. You can see this in their lore, and if you go and read the stuff on the allshard and you go and read the stuff on the Sultanate, you can see that there is this very underground a feel of this mysticism coming through, and how important these stories are. And to further the point about the Arabian Nights and how stories have influenced the Sultanate, of course we actually do learn about the Sultan Mustafa, the Golden Sultan at the moment, of course, owes a lot of money to the King of Thieves, as in Ali Baba and the King of Thieves. Which again is absolutely fantastic. I just think that's great that this is all entwined within the dystopian age, and you get this fantastic story just within the Sultanate itself, which brings it all lovingly together, and you've got 2 very different worlds, quite literally 2 very different worlds of the Order of the Allshard and of course the Sultanate, and how they work together, and how they have to work together, and how the Sultan uses the Allshard and their troops, and how powerful they are, and how the Allshard uses the Sultan to further their own goals against the Hex. So they can spot where they're coming from, such as they believe that the Greek rebels are very much entwined with the Hex. We know this with the weapons that have been used against the Sultanate by the Greek rebels. We know this to be true. They are using Hex weapons. So it's just a fantastic symbiosis of factions that are being used. And I'd love to see the Order of the Allshard actually get some vehicles and some fleets for dystopian wars. I can't see it happening, but it's something I'd like to see. And of course, there's a rumour of new Sultanate battle fleet coming, which was their rumour engine this week, which I'll be talking about later anyway. And there you go. So there's one reason. The Sultanate has a fantastic, interesting lore, which is tied up with another faction, which is the Order of the Allshard, which is another fun faction for Wild West Exodus. Now, when talking about models, you could go down Wild West Exodus and use, there's plenty of Order models which have the Sultanate keyword, and you could obviously tie them all together into one faction and one posse for yourself. I mean, they would look good. and they do look good. They're fantastic. I do like the look of the allshard models. But that would be as far as you go. They don't really have a faction in Wild West Exodus. But like I said, you can. It's absolutely possible. But it's not something that is actually, well, you can do it, but it's not something so easily done. As unlike with the actual, if you want to do Sultanate for the Dystopian Wars, you've got a fair choice of things. Well, if we just continue with the order at the moment, I should say, I believe you only got the Divine Intervention box. Is the only one which actually allows you to use a boss character with the Sultanate, and that is Makara. And she's a lovely looking model, to be honest with you. She's fantastic. And all the core Korali and Spicker cohorts also have the Sultanate keywords. But like I said, they don't really have a lot for Wild West Exodus. But let's talk about the current models for Dystopian Wars. You have the I apologise for pronunciating this badly. The Sultan battle fleet. This is a fantastic looking battle fleet. You have a great big. Oh my god, that looks gorgeous. The Constantinople class option for cruiser. You have a massive cruiser. Is that the big cruiser? It looks like a big cruiser. And yeah, well, you have the fleet carrier. That's the big boy, the fleet carrier. And my gosh, that is a big boy. It's a catamaran style. It has 2 bows. Oh wow! I tell you what, if you like the really religious designs of Warhammer 40k, like the cathedrals on the Titans and stuff like, Sultanate is back for you, because this one has it. It has the Arabian palace on this boat, and it looks gorgeous. So that would definitely be for you. And like I said, it's a catamaran style, so it looks really cool. And with that, you also get 3 cruisers. Each cruiser can alternatively be built as either Iskander, Izmir, Pasha, or Sadrazam class. Both cruisers can be combined to build a Haram Grand Cruiser or Mehmed Grand Monitor. 6 frigates and 3 more cruisers. And these are the Constantinople, Memora, Konya, or Aden, or Moria class ships. You can build them as those. So there you go. It's a fine looking battle fleet. It's an £85 one, but as always with Royal Cradle, if you're going to be spending out £85, you know you're going to get treated to something very large. It's a fantastically large ship with some and I love the fact that they don't look like normal ships. They don't have a single bow. They all have more than one bow. They have a very Arabian look to them, and it's such a nice looking models. They're all very good. The 2 flight decks on the cruiser, the fleet carrier, the Solomon fleet carrier, it looks nice, and it's definitely something worth adding to your fleet. I always said army there. And after that, there is of course another battle fleet, because there's always 2, and this is the cheaper one, and that is the Anatolia battle fleet. Actually, there's 3, but there is 3. I'll bring the last one up in a minute. The Anatolia battle fleet. Again, you get some nice models. You get a nice big one, not a massive one like you would with the Sulaiman. So I'm really bad. I do apologize for my pronunciation of these. And again, it's got the big ship, which is the Haram class Grand Cruiser. You have that one. You can make 2 cruisers and 4 frigates. The rum is very nice, and you have the big ship, which is the Anatolia battleship. That is such a gorgeous ship as well. Again, it's got the the synagogue-looking bridge, I should say. Again, so it's got that very religious feel, and it's very, how can I put it? The theocracy of the Sultanate at the time, because Mustafa is very religious. He tied himself with the order to give him that pious look. So this does fit his law, where there's a lot of religion floating around, and to make himself look better, he'd of course did that. He went And finally, you got the final battle fleet is a top cappy battle fleet. I'm so bad at these pronunciations. Not very much. You get not as many ships because it's the cheapest one. It's £35, and you got the top cappy class battleship. But it can also be built as the Nemrut class. 2 portals, which are cool by the way, and Ferric escort tokens, and that's about it. But you do get the one big ship, and again, it's got that catamaran look with 2 bows, and not much more I can say about that. And so with the look of the Sultanate, it's very religious. It's that very theocratic style of boat going around the Middle East look. Got all the nice domes, and you got that nice gold, that nice turquoise looking of what how copper and bronze would turn after years of use. And yeah, they look fantastic, and it's one of the best reasons. So with the Sultanate, my main reason would go with the lore and how it's one of the deepest parts of lore when you start thinking about it and you go, wait, we got the Order, there is and it's various interdimensional beings, and they're using the Sultans to further their goal against the Hex. The Sultans are using the Order to further protect themselves from any form of rebellion. And this symbiosis between the two and how they work is absolutely fantastic. And of course, with this sort of relationship between 2 factions, there's going to be backstabbing as well, which we see in the Sultanate lore from the Dystopian Wars rulebook, that they had to go into Grand Vizier's own room and find out what was happening and whether or not they could trust him, or if they could use anything against him, which was the more important part. So there you go, the Sultanate, fantastic fleets for, of course, the Dystopian Wars. If you want to do a kind of Sultanate army, fat posse for Wild West Exodus, you would definitely have to go down the Order route, because there are some models, but not many, which have the Sultanate keyword. And that's about it. I mean, they are a great faction to look at. Their lore is absolutely fantastic. It really is. It's some of the best lore for Dystopian Wars. I'm actually not going into this through my favorite, what's my favorite lore. Because to be honest with you, one thing I really like about the Warcode models is that so many are so good, and it makes it really difficult not to dislike any models, to be honest with you. And these are, I'm just going to give you, for Dystopian, I better do this for Wild West Exodus, just to clear everything up. The ones with the Sultanate keyword, or have the Sultanate label, emblem, are the Kor Korali Illuminate cohort, the Kor Korali Nyx cohort. Han is she is a unique character. And keep going, we got Makara, like I said, she's unique and you can use her. She's actually pretty brutal with a piercing -3. I reckon she would really struggle across against Jocasta with that, because of course Jocasta has absolutely, you can't pierce her armor, it doesn't count. Mifune, Noth, Oron, Siraj, Spica Heavy Interceptor. Oh god, I missed the vehicles. Spica Interceptor, again, it's another vehicle. Spica Ironhide. Ironhide, I would definitely, if you were looking at getting Ironhide for your army, or for any army, I would definitely look at the mule for Mantic. That's one I would use. The Spica Tumbler, which of course is something they actually sell, and it's so cool. The Volcana, Zane, and that's it. Those are the ones you can use for Wild West Exodus under a Sultanate label. Well, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Of course, if you want to get this, the best place to go for any Dystopian Wars or Wild West Exodus stuff is Wayland Games, because they own War Cradle and they make it, and they're really good at their deliveries. So I'd go there first. And of course, Mr. down below. If these always sound like an advert, I really apologise, but I really like this company and I really like these games. So I really want to pick them up so much. And now I've got like 600 subscribers. I can actually, in a position where I could hopefully get more people playing this great game, these great games, you know. So yeah, we go Wayland Game down below. For Wayland Planet, if you like comics, and I like comics, so it's another company I use, I actually go to their shop quite often. And of course, there's my comic, if you like horror and weird twist on Little Red Riding Hood. And there is my merchandise, which has some weird art, some comedy art, some everything art, and I make it all. I all do it by hand, nothing digital. I tell a lie, there is one digital there, but it's all done by hand. Most of it's done by hand, I should say, and that's all down there as well. And of course, Patreon. But as always, please treat yourself to something nice before you just give me money. I'm not going to say no to money, but I'd rather you get something because it supports me just as much, and you get something out of it as well. And I'll speak to you all again soon. Bye bye.